Samantha Turner had it all, at least that's what people thought. A successful businesswoman, a stunning home on the outskirts of town, and a reputation as the millionaire single mom. But behind the polished image, Samantha carried a quiet emptiness. Her only daughter, Lily, was her world, but even she sensed the loneliness in her mother's smile. One Sunday afternoon, Samantha asked a question that would change everything. Sitting on the porch swing, she turned to Lily and whispered, "Sweetheart, if you could choose a new father, who would you want him to be?" Samantha expected names of her wealthy friends, the polished men in suits who often tried to win her heart. Instead, Lily's answer left her stunned. "I want Mr. Daniel," Lily said with certainty. "The mechanic who fixed our car when it broke down." Samantha frowned. Daniel was nothing like the men in her circle. A single dad, grease under his nails, and a small garage that barely paid the bills. But Lily's eyes sparkled with a memory. "He gave me his lunch that day because I was hungry, Mama. And he said dads are supposed to make sure little girls never go to bed with empty tummies. I think he's kind, like a real dad." For the first time in years, Samantha felt her guarded heart tremble. She had been looking for wealth and status, but her daughter saw something greater, kindness. And that was the beginning of everything. The next morning, Samantha couldn't shake Lily's words. A millionaire mother, brought to silence by the innocence of an 8-year-old child. All day, as she sat in meetings and signed contracts, her mind wandered back to Daniel, the single dad mechanic who had once changed her flat tire on a rainy night. She remembered how he had spoken softly to Lily, crouching down so he was at eye level, offering her half of his sandwich without hesitation. No pretense, no agenda, just simple kindness. It was something no expensive suit had ever shown them. That evening, Samantha drove past Daniel's small garage. It wasn't glamorous, faded paint on the sign, tools scattered in organized chaos, and the faint smell of oil lingering in the air. Through the open door, she saw him wiping grease off his hands while his young son, Max, sat on a stool finishing homework. The sight struck her. He wasn't just a mechanic, he was a father doing everything he could to give his boy a better life. Lily tugged at her sleeve. "Can we say hi, Mama?" Before Samantha could answer, Daniel spotted them. His surprised smile was genuine, free from the practiced charm she was so used to. "Evening, Miss Turner," he said, brushing his hands clean. "Car trouble again?" Samantha hesitated, then shook her head. "Not this time." Her voice softened. "We just wanted to stop by." Daniel looked puzzled but welcomed them warmly. For the first time in a long time, Samantha felt something stir, a feeling she hadn't allowed herself to feel since her divorce. Not attraction, not wealth, but the quiet comfort of being seen. And for Lily, it felt like home. Over the next few weeks, Samantha found herself driving past Daniel's garage more often than she intended. Sometimes she had an excuse, an oil change, a small repair, but other times, she simply stopped by with Lily just to say hello. Daniel was always the same. Polite, hardworking, patient with Lily's endless questions, and gentle with his own son, Max. The two kids quickly bonded, laughing together over homework and playing catch outside the garage. It warmed Samantha's heart in ways she hadn't expected. But not everyone saw it that way. At a charity gala one evening, a friend of hers pulled her aside. "Samantha, darling, people are talking. You're really spending time with a mechanic? A single dad?" The word mechanic was laced with disdain, as though kindness could be measured by a paycheck. Samantha forced a smile, but the comment echoed in her mind all night. Had she really lowered her standards? Or, had her standards been wrong all along? The very next day, she got her answer. Lily had caught a fever while Samantha was tied up in back-to-back meetings. In a panic, she rushed to pick her up, only to find Daniel already there at the school nurse's office, holding Lily's hand. She called Max, Daniel explained softly. Said she didn't want to be alone. I left the garage and came straight here. Samantha's throat tightened. Out of all the people in her polished, wealthy circle, it wasn't the businessmen or her so-called friends who showed up when her daughter needed comfort. It was Daniel, the man with grease on his hands, but a heart cleaner and truer than any she had ever known. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Samantha sat alone in her study. Her heart was restless. She had spent years building walls, protecting herself with success, wealth, and distance. But today, one simple act of kindness from Daniel had shaken those walls to the core. She replayed the scene at the school in her mind, Daniel rushing in, kneeling beside Lily, his rough hand surprisingly gentle as he stroked her hair. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He wasn't thinking of status or appearances. He was simply being a dad. The very thing Lily had been missing. The following weekend, Samantha invited Daniel and Max over for dinner. Her mansion felt less intimidating with children's laughter echoing through the halls. Max was wide-eyed at the marble floors, while Daniel looked uncomfortable in his clean shirt, tugging at the collar as though he didn't belong. But then Lily grabbed his hand and pulled him to the table. "You belong here, Mr. Daniel. Your family now," she declared with innocent confidence. Samantha's eyes welled up. For years she had been searching for love in the wrong places, among people who valued her bank account more than her heart. And yet here was a man who had nothing to offer but sincerity, and somehow, it felt like everything she had ever wanted. Daniel cleared his throat, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I don't know much about your world, Samantha, but I do know this: if you let me, I'll always be there for Lily. And for you." Her walls crumbled. For the first time in a long time, Samantha felt seen, safe, and truly loved. Weeks turned into months, and what began as casual visits grew into something deeper. Samantha found herself cherishing the simple moments more than the lavish ones: family dinners where Lily and Max giggled over spilled juice, late-night talks with Daniel about dreams and fears, even the quiet comfort of having someone who truly listened. One sunny afternoon, Samantha took Lily to the park. While Daniel and Max were pushing her on the swings, Lily leaned close to her mother and whispered, "Mama, do you see now? Money buys toys and houses, but kindness makes a family." The words hit Samantha like a revelation. Her daughter wasn't asking for a man in a tailored suit or a wealthy stepfather, she wanted someone who cared. Someone who chose love over status. Later that evening, Samantha invited Daniel onto the porch, the same place where she had first asked Lily that fateful question. With a trembling voice, she spoke from the heart. "Daniel, I've spent years thinking I knew what was best for my daughter. But it turns out, she knew better all along. You've given us something no money could buy: trust, warmth, and a real family. And I don't ever want to lose that." Daniel looked at her with quiet sincerity. "You don't have to." At that moment, Lily and Max ran onto the porch, laughter filling the air. Samantha reached for Daniel's hand, and for the first time, she didn't feel like the millionaire single mom. She simply felt whole. Because in the end, love wasn't about riches or status. It was about choosing each other, day after day, moment after moment. And together, they had finally found what mattered most: family.